have such wonderful opportunity to talk to you.
Oh,
And
it's my
and
pleasure.
I First of all, I'd like to say that my family, my wife and my children, they live. My son lives in San Francisco, and the youngest son lives in New York. And they're so jealous that I have opportunity to talk to you. And everybody said hi to you.
Oh,
It's
well, that's very kind. Maybe
wonderful.
we can, hopefully they'll get the chance to see this. We can send them a note.
So, Dr. Gupta, a couple of personal questions. So, you are accomplished neurosurgeon at Emory University and a famous medical correspondent at CNN. So, how do you balance your professional life? Where do you spend more time? So, what do you enjoy doing the most?
That's a good question. And you and I are, one of a handful of people probably in the world that sort of, balance this life nowadays. And, it's interesting. I decided to go into medicine at a very young age. I was 16 when I decided to go in, and it's my first love. And I think there's something about first loves. I am very at home in the hospital. I work at a teaching establishment, so I have residents and medical students, and I enjoy that part of my life a lot. Obviously,
You went to Michigan, right? Yeah,
I went to Michigan for my training, yes, and now,
fantastic school. Yeah,
yeah, it's a wonderful place, and the people
yeah.
who
My
are.
son went there, so
Is that right? Oh, great.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he's in computer science, but we spend quite a bit of time in Ann Arbor.
It's one of my
It's a
favorite
wonderful
cities.
institution. Yes.
But if you think about that sort of environment where you're around people who are and students, just curious
Right.
people in a very learning environment, I like that. And so the idea that I can maintain that part of my life has been really important to me. And especially during this pandemic time where a lot of us have been more isolated at home, the fact that I still operate every Monday. I still
Mhm.
see patients on Thursdays in the office. So we've had, like most hospitals in the country, we've had this period of time where the hospitals were primarily becoming COVID hospitals. So our elective surgical schedule was reduced at that point, but we're sort of back at full speed right now. And I really like it. I balance it like that. It's basically uh, you know on paper it's 50-50, but it varies week to week, depending on, sometimes the hospital's busier, sometimes the news environment's busier, so it changes from time to time. But I enjoy it a lot the way that it is, and I also think that it does offer some mutual benefit. I'm sure the same for you. I mean, I go to the hospital, I spend time with a lot of my colleagues, including colleagues from different specialties, and you just feel like you really can keep your thumb on the heartbeat of what's going on in the medical world, not just in the operating, doing spine fusions or removing brain tumors, but also just the hospital environment. And I think that I can bring some of that back to the reporting, because it does offer a different perspective than sometimes you're just getting, in the standard news environment. So I see it as mutually beneficial. It's very busy. I mean, very, very busy. I don't have any days off. I mean, weekends, I spend a lot of that time at the hospital, if I'm not doing television. So it's a busy time, and it's tough to strike the right balance with family, but it's very fulfilling as well. So everyone's going to have their own way of balancing that part of their lives, but I think the idea that you have a fulfilling life, there's I give that a lot of importance. I give that a lot of gravity in the situation.
Yeah, and also you finding time to enjoy quality time with your family. So I saw a video of your trip to Kashmir with your mother.
Oh yeah.
That's really fascinating, very, very interesting. So, Dr. Gupta, you're a father of three daughters. Do you think they will live in a better world after this pandemic?